Hi everyone, welcome to episode 9 of On the Laulau. I hope you guys have been doing well. I'm super excited to get to talk to you guys today. I kind of wanted to go more into life, not talk about conspiracies or anything like that, but I have some people in my life and sometimes I feel very inspired because I realize that this represents the collective. And I've been reading about this type of stuff for so long. I've been interested in reprogramming your subconscious mind. I've dug into the videos and the books and the seminars and everything. And I realized that not everyone shares that interest, that hunger for being you're telling me that the way I've been told my reality works is not actually true. I want to know everything about it. But I realize that people, they're not as curious as I once was. And if you think I'm curious, my older brother Charles literally has read every single book out there. And he's always bringing me a new perspective because he's so into this and so am I. And it's so nice. I'm so grateful for him because it's we can bounce the ball from one another because we're both so into this type of stuff. But for the people who aren't really interested, I always assume people know. I always assume that people okay, your subconscious mind, this is how it works, this is how your reality, but people have no fucking clue. So sometimes I feel annoying because I feel like it's all I talk about, but I realize that you literally need to be showed it in every single angle before there can be a switch that goes off in your brain. And I've read for the longest time all of this knowledge on how do you actually shift vibrationally to the vibration of your desire. And there's a lot of people who don't understand that. And the reason I want to cover this today is because this can be of such good use to you if you actually develop an interest to it. If you're actually hungry, like I was saying, to learn about the laws of the universe and why things work the way they are. And the more you study it, the more you'll understand. And if I was taught this in school, I would have never quit. But the fact that I was trained to retain information and spit it back out was not my cup of tea, because I feel like there are so many people who want to change their lives, but there's something missing, you either need to be really rock bottom and have no other option, or I don't know, there needs to be some type of event in the brain for you to be okay, I'm a fucking stick to this now. And I remember when I was 15 years old, my dad got me a notebook and he said, in this notebook, I want you to write all the sentences that start with I have and I am. Anything that you want, just talk about it. And I just remember thinking nothing of it because I knew nothing about this. I didn't know that writing sentences in the present tense, already affirming that you have the things that you want, puts you in vibrational alignment with that thing. I didn't understand it. And last July, it's almost as if something went off in my brain and I finally understood what it means to be in vibrational alignment with what you want. So I wanted to dive into this today a little bit and talk about other things. I had a question that you guys asked me from the podcast straight, so I'm going to answer that one because it's a really good one. But I also wanted to touch on a few things. The first one being, if you're the type of person where you put so much pressure on yourself because you think you need to be doing everything all at once, and you think you need to be at the top of your game in the gym, in your job, in your relationships, the way your house looks, is it clean, all these things, I want you to know that you have been fed this concept that everything has to look perfect all the time, because we're going through periods on the planet right now energetically where we're purging a lot of shit. And I'm not going to lie to you guys. There are days where I feel amazing and there are days where I feel like pure ass and I don't want to do anything that I'm supposed to do. I have committed to myself for 90 days that I'm really going to stick to it. I told myself for 90 days, I don't have excuses and I will dial in. I always give this option to my brain. I feel like this is the best. If you're the type of person who sets resolutions for 12 months in advance, I'm not saying you're not going to be successful, but you never know how you're going to evolve 6 months from now. And your desires and your goals could be different. So that's why I really like doing 90-day things, because it feels way more realistic. Because if you tell yourself, yeah, for 250 days, it's a longer time. So for 90 days, I told myself I was going to get my 10K steps every day because I've been neglecting it. I am going to go to the gym 4 to 5 times a week because I have been neglecting it, haven't been caring as much. I dived into the whole cycle syncing thing. You're supposed to cycle sync your workouts with your menstrual cycles. And holy fuck, does it give me a headache, because I can push weight, but then there's information telling me I shouldn't push weight the week before my period. I'm not going to get into it, but it's just been a lot to take in. So it's enough for me to not do anything. So these are certain habits that I told myself I would dedicate myself and discipline myself and be like, okay, I'm going to show up. And once the 90 day is over, if I absolutely fucking hate it, I can totally let that habit go. Most of the times that doesn't happen because now that you have told yourself I'm going to do it and you show up and you do it consistently over and over again, you get used to doing it and it becomes your new normal. So stop putting all this pressure on yourself to accomplish things in an unrealistic timeline. We are going through so many shifts. Like I was saying, there's days I feel super inspired. I feel light. I feel good. I want to show up for myself in every single way that I told myself I would. And there's other days where my body feels heavy. I feel irritated. I feel agitated. Like I just feel pissed off. And I know that this is a lot of welcoming. And this is like, you got to be kind and gentle with yourself. This is always what I say to you guys, like in the comments, because we are so used to being hard on ourselves and saying like, no, I'm not working hard enough. I need to get here this certain amount of time, putting pressure on yourself to accomplish all of these things, which is fine. But I always take it back to the example. Imagine if you had a 5-year-old child in front of you and you were putting all this pressure on them to get this done and get this done and get this done. You would bring them out of a playful, creative, fun, flowing energy because you would be putting so many like boxes on them. Does that make sense? So I always see like, stop treating yourself like that kid that you're putting all of these fucking I need to do this. I must get here. I only have this much time. This is what it means about me. Like we give so much unnecessary meaning to events in our lives. Things just happen. Things just are. We are the ones who are capable of labeling them like, oh, this happened to me. It's fucking negative. But it's always serving a purpose, whether you figure it out or not. I was having a conversation with someone and I was like, you know what? Like I think 4 years ago, I got in a car accident because the stupidest car accident. I don't know how you say this stuff in English. I'm used to the terms in French because I live in a French place. So I obviously learned how to drive in French. But you know, when like you need to like merge somewhere and then there's a person in front of you and then you look like you do the angle. I don't know. I don't know what it is in English. But anyways, I like ran into someone with my car because I thought that like there were no cars coming. So I thought the car logically saw that there were no cars coming and it was already going. But I just looked to see if there was something in my blind spot and there was nothing. But then by the time I advanced, the person in front of me hadn't moved. I was like, what the fuck? You know, kind of an idiot. But is it me who's the idiot or them? I don't know. Whatever. It taught me to never press the gas when I'm merging. Okay. But I ran into that car. It was a woman, and I think she had a child in her backseat or something like that. And I felt like, for fuck's sake, like I was going to my trip to France. Like a week later, I was like, why is this happening? Why is this happening to me? It is a neutral event, all right? It doesn't mean it's bad. It doesn't mean it's good. But we're all used to seeing a car accident as bad. But I don't know who this accident served. I don't know if it served the woman. I don't know if it served the child, if it served myself. I don't know what is the divine purpose. But as long as you believe that there's literally always something perfect unfolding for you, whether you can see it or not, why are you putting so much meaning to things? Like, oh, well, you know, at my age, I want to get things going. I want to get a good pension. I want to save and shit. Oh my God. Oh my God. That is matrix training to the fucking core, you guys. I am holding a live workshop next weekend and I would tell you to join it, but there's almost no more spots left. So by the time this is uploaded, the spots are most likely going to be filled, but do not worry. This is not my last one. I will be announcing something very fucking exciting at the end of that workshop that you will hear about. So I'm super excited to tell you guys, like, this is going to be fucking amazing. But the workshop is basically free your mind from matrix programming. And it's not about the matrix and the simulation and whatever. You just have to understand that there are ways of thinking that have been enabled in your brain since you were a child, because the adults that gave you that programming had been programmed themselves. And anytime you tune into that limited programming, you are feeding the matrix narrative, meaning you are not feeding your infinite consciousness, because we're all God. We all have God energy. So I feel like anytime we get stuck in programming and we need to know how, we need to figure it out, we want to know how it's going to happen, who it's going to happen with, what time, what day, what place, everything, it literally removes all of the possibilities from coming to you, because I know we are fucking control freaks. I know we want to know how it's going to happen. I know, because I remember thinking that way. And to a certain degree, sometimes my ego is like, yeah, well, how am I going to make this happen? I don't know how I'm going to make it happen. And aligning with your desired vibration is embodying the person who already has those things. And it can be something that's really hard to do because we're so used to our current identities, right? Like you're so used to saying, I don't like my job. You're so used to saying, well, I'm not going to go out with my friends because I don't have money for that. We're so used to saying these things. And it's almost as if we share them with the world as if we're proud. We're not proud of these things. It's not like we like these things and we want to keep them around and all that stuff. But it's almost as if we want to be shown compassion for what we go through. You are so used to your story. You're so used to telling your story the way it is. This is where it's fucking difficult because most of the people that you talk to right now repeat the same story over and over again, activating the same energy, therefore staying in the same vibration. So all these people are saying that they want different things in their lives. They want new experiences. They want more funds. They want friendships, relationships, whatever it is. But they're literally talking everything against having that because they're convinced that that's what they have. And this is where it gets very infuriating for me because I've gotten so good with this type of knowledge now that anytime someone speaks, I see the limitation. I see the parts of themselves that does not believe that they can have this thing. Because anytime you reaffirm the same shit over and over again and you tell your mom, your dad, your cousin, your dog, everyone, you're reaffirming the same shit. Therefore, nothing can change. And it is the hardest thing to do because we're so used to opening our eyes and seeing things the way they are and just reaffirming them and reaffirming them. It's almost as if people think that God is going to surprise them with the total opposite. They say like, oh, another bill. But deep down, they would want the bill to be paid for. Deep down, they would want more financial freedom, more peace around money. But you cannot be in the opposite vibration of the thing that you want. So last July, I joined a 30-day challenge that was like embody your millionaire self type of thing. And I stuck to it for like 7 days. There were challenges in the group. You had to post your outfit. You had to dress like the person that you would dress if you had all the things that you want. If you're doing all the things that you want to be doing, how would you dress? Would you stay in PJs all day or would you dress up nice type of thing? And you had to journal, you had to meditate, you had to go outside and do these things and you had to all post it in the group. I did it. I followed it for 7 days. And then like, I think the leader of the group just like, there were some things going on in their lives. So it never really persisted. But for that 7 days where I totally just embodied it, I started thinking as if what I wanted was already my reality. So I remember at the time I wanted to grow my TikTok, right? And I was just like, oh, I love like my expanding audience. Thank you so much. And things like that. And then I realized I have to act as if there's already 1 million people listening to my stuff. And I just want to disclaim, it's not about the number of people. It's not about that. But it is nice when your following expands, when your audience contributes and comments, and it's nice and it's so exciting. But that is a whole different reality than my past self was used to, because for the past 2 years, I was simply posting to post and stuff like that. So I changed my mindset of thinking like, you know what? I already have an audience. I need to show up for them every day. How would I think if I already had this amount of people? What would I do? What content? How much? What? I started figuring it out. I started acting on it. I started moving in that vibration. And what happens? It expands and it grows. I have a deep, profound love for Grand Jeep Cherokees. All right. All black, just sexy as fuck. And I'm very excited for the day that I'm going to have my own. But I visualize myself in the car, the steering wheel, the music. Like, you need to place yourself in that scenario. And then I tell myself, how would I think if I already had a Jeep like that? I would probably say, oh, well, if you guys want to go on a road trip, we can take my car. Or I just imagine how it would be like, so different. Because right now my car, you guys, I named her Betty. I got her when I was 17. Betty has done me good. And she's still running fucking amazing. But lately, when I press on the gas, she makes so much fucking noise. I get embarrassed because there's people walking on the street. I stop and do the stop sign. And then I go and she just screams. And then I flip the switch as if I was already driving the Grand Jeep Cherokee. And how would it feel? It wouldn't make any noise. It would feel so amazing. I wouldn't feel the embarrassment of my car. my car making a lot of noise. So it's really hard to embody the person that you want to be before you're actually them. But it's like you need to learn how it would feel like to be them. Because yes, there are people where things just happen and, you know, they didn't fucking pay any attention. They didn't have to focus their thoughts. They didn't have to place themselves in a state of feeling good, and things just happen. But the problem with that is that people think they just wait. They just wait for God to bring them an opportunity. They just wait and wait and wait. If you're always in the energy of waiting, that means you're not in the energy of having the thing. You're in the energy of the waiting room. For the longest time, I didn't know what I wanted to do with, you know, my life or career-wise or work-wise or anything. As some of you may know, I quit high school, never resonated with it. I knew I would never go down the traditional educational path because there was nothing that I wanted to do that already existed. I was like, ugh, it's so boring. Like, yes, I could find my hole, but is that really what I want to do? And I will be forever grateful to have had the support of my parents, because I know that there are people who feel this way and they literally have no support whatsoever. So this is where I know that I'm doing what I was always meant to do, because the support and the love is so present that it's like, you just know within your heart that you're doing what God intended you to do. Because I do find that we all have a different purpose and we can all serve each other beautifully by being our authentic selves and doing the things we really love doing. So I know people have some difficulty trusting themselves and doing what they actually want to do because they don't see what's on the other side. And for me, I remember for the longest time, I really wanted to write. And when I came up with the idea of writing my first ebook, it took me a week and that shit was done, written, let's go. And it felt so good. It felt so aligned. I was like, holy shit. Like, this is clearly something that God just it streamed into my flow of consciousness and I received it. And if you act on it, you're gonna get what you've been asking for, type of thing. But there's a lot of people who receive ideas, and I saw a thing that said, like, if you don't act on your ideas, they're going to find someone else who's going to. So I find that super good because I always get ideas for stuff, like for videos, and I don't always write them down. I forget them. So please write down your ideas. And second of all, I write them down in my notes on my phone, but I never actualize them. I just move on and I don't go see my notes. So maybe someone else realizes the idea, totally fine. But there's an expiration date on your ideas. So you need to act on them when they come to you, because no one is going to be able to realize those ideas like you are. There's a million books on spirituality, but someone might only understand from your words, from your energy, because literally everything holds energy. There's books that people resonate with and others that don't. So for the longest time, I was discontinuing myself, right? Because we love to discontinue ourselves and say, well, I'm not good enough to do this thing. Who's gonna actually care? Everyone's gonna judge me. But it's really not that deep. The only reason it's that deep is because you've been programmed to a certain level to believe that you're not good enough and that you need to attain a lot of things. And when you close your eyes and envision your dream reality, you think that you're just going to black out and make it there. You don't think you're actually going to go through the hardships, right? You always visualize the end result, but you're not going to black out and just wake up in that body. You're going to become that person. And there are going to be experiences and circumstances in the middle of that. And I remember maybe 2 years ago, I got the idea, and the idea was how to not lose your shit during your spiritual awakening. And I had started writing it for fun, and I told myself I would write it. I did work on it, and eventually I stopped. Because the questions of the physical mind were like, how are you going to make this happen? You don't even have an editor. You don't have a publisher. How are you going to make it happen? No one gives a shit about what you write. It doesn't matter, blah, blah, blah. And then it paralyzes you, and you don't act on it. But that idea wanted to be acted on. So when you don't trust yourself, when you don't give yourself permission to do things, do not ask yourself why you feel unaligned and you feel unfulfilled. You need to be willing to jump and take the bet on yourself and jump into the unknown. And I know it's the hardest fucking thing that you're ever going to do, because I've done it and I'm doing it, and I could just cry thinking about it because I feel I'm so assisted, you guys. But for the longest time, I thought that I wasn't. And I thought that I wasn't not special, but you always feel left out. You feel like the universe forgot about you or something, right? I think when I was young, even as a young adult, I don't know how to explain it. I'm just getting crazy visuals right now. But the way that things have been happening for me these past 6 months, if that's what it takes, jumping into the unknown and just surrendering to my fear, I'm going to do it. 100 times over again, because people really think it's not available to them. People really think they can't have it. People really think that it's impossible. It's not. It's all in your fucking mind. So when I see people speaking only of doubts and limitations and fears, it drives me absolutely fucking crazy, because you're literally giving your power to that. No shit, that's all you're creating and experiencing. Sorry, little emotional moment. It's fine. So when I finally wrote my first ebook and I released it, and I was like, wow, it's almost as if that was my permission slip to be like, you can write the one that you got an idea for a really long time ago now. Now that you've done your other little ebook that didn't feel as big as a mountain, you can tackle this one, because this is what you've always wanted to do. So I wrote the damn thing, you guys, okay? And this is an inside joke that I absolutely love. It's between me and my brother, because we say it to each other all the time. But basically, I released my second ebook, How to Not Lose Your Shit After Unplugging from the Matrix, which if you haven't gotten it, you should, because holy shit did I pour my soul into that. But I was writing it and I was almost done, and I was just reviewing everything, and I launched it on the Saturday, and on the Thursday I recorded a video of myself just crying, and I was like, I'm scared. I don't know what's on the other side of this. I don't know if this is going to fail miserably. Like, I would love to tell you it's going to bring me everything that I want, but like, I don't know. And like, what if people judge how I write, how I wrote it? People think it could have been done differently. Like, it doesn't feel legit. I don't have a publisher. Like, I don't even have a fucking physical book to offer people. All of these thoughts, and I just recorded them. And I just say, like, I'm going to do this though. I'm going to do this even though I'm fucking shitting my pants. So now anytime me or my brother, whoever experiences a moment, we just go, it's a Thursday moment. It's a Thursday moment, but you're going to get through it, and you're going to push through, and you're going to fucking jump. You're going to do it, because there is nothing better than jumping, trust falling, and getting caught, because there is nothing better than jumping, trusting, surrendering. Like, you did what you had to do. You received the idea, you acted on it, you actualized it. Now it's like the final step before it becomes real type of thing. Like, whether it's a project or just a decision or a life change, whatever, that final phase of fear before actually going through with it and being scared, it's a Thursday moment. And I love that so much. And I would put it on t-shirts and shit, but I'm like, no one's gonna understand. But I want you to tell yourself that any moment that you feel scared, or like, let's say you want to quit your job, or you're going to ask someone out, or you feel fear and you feel like your body is it's in such resistance to what your mind wants you to do. You just say it's a Thursday moment. But on the other side of posting this, it means that you get the things that you want, because I have experienced so much success with this ebook, and it's like, I don't know how to explain it, you guys, but I got so used to making videos for myself, and because I was just sharing my truth, that now I have so many beautiful souls watching and admiring and loving my content. It's almost as if I don't realize it, because I got so used to doing it alone. And in the beginning, I didn't necessarily have everybody's support. I'm not talking about my family, but I do remember losing a lot of friendships because it made them uncomfortable that I started talking about these things. But I knew I had to keep going, and I never questioned if I should. But, in the beginning, like, you're all you've got. Like, you are the one who has to show up and post the videos, or, do the damn thing. It can apply to literally anything in your life. Whether that's you want to meditate every single day, or you want to go to the gym every single day, or you want to go outside every day. It can be the littlest things, but sometimes they're the hardest to show up for every single day. So I published the ebook. You guys love it. And when I get comments saying that it is like so refreshing to read something like this, it's like your inner child doesn't believe it, because you spend so much time discontinuing yourself and just pushing yourself to the side, saying like, oh, it would be nice, but like, fuck that. And you don't actually do anything about the things that you really want to do and that you were probably placed here to do. That when it does happen, you're just like, what? Like, you believed in yourself, but then when it actually happens and the world starts believing in you, you're like, what? So anyways, this is just, honestly, it's an amazing ride. I'm so grateful for it. But I just thought I'd share this with you guys, because I had to change the way I thought. And I do it every single day. Like anytime my brain brings me to a place that I'm like, nope, this ain't where I'm trying to go, I reel it back in and I focus on something that makes me feel good. And that can either be visualizing something that I'm looking forward to experiencing in real time, closing my eyes, placing myself in that situation, what it feels like, what it looks like. I have one that I've been really like anchored in for a few weeks, or sometimes in moments where that's really difficult because your mind doesn't believe it's possible and it's just like, how? Just imagine something that makes you feel good. So that can be just walking on the beach. That can be hugging your mom. For me, it's hugging my cat. If I just imagine holding my cat in my arms, it immediately makes me feel better. I don't know what it is, but that cat, man, holy Christ. And I'm just super grateful because I feel like I am living proof that even when you're good at doing something that other people do not understand, as long as you choose yourself and you choose to believe in yourself, even if you get a lot of external proof that like you shouldn't, that's where it is. That's where all the magic is. Because I go to the gym in my town, and sometimes I see people from like my high school, and I'm just like, I know I was never understood, because I was always the type of person like, I didn't care if I stood out, but I didn't want to stand out. And I didn't care to be understood, but I was misunderstood to some extent, because I feel like, when you're a teenager and you're discovering yourself, like you follow along, like you learn to just, there's always a gang or something. There's always someone that's leading other people and the people follow. I was never able to do that. When it was time to stand up, I would stand up. I was like, fuck this shit. And I didn't know that I needed that for what I was going to do. And for the longest time, you wonder what you're going to do. You're asking God for an answer, for a direction, for something, and you don't get it. But for the longest time, I was literally entertaining to everyone, I don't know. When people were asking me, what are you doing? What are you doing? I don't know. And it was almost hard for me to say I make videos on TikTok, because it's like, well, what are they going to think? And all of this type of shit. And it was actually funny because when I started, like, my ebooks started going off, it was like, oh my God, I have to tell people now. When they ask me what I do, I have to say like, yeah, I sell like ebooks online, and, I make content on the internet, and I have a podcast and all this stuff. It's hard to like, holy shit, this is actually what I do, because it feels like imposter syndrome for a certain amount of time, because I made my first YouTube channel when I was like 12, 13, and I would make videos about makeup because that was the biggest hype back then. And when I watch those videos, I'm just like, man, you've always wanted to do this. You always wanted to make fucking videos. And they have evolved. Don't get me wrong. It started from makeup to fucking vlogs of me in high school, like doing Vlogmas and shit when I was still at school. Those are all private, by the way. Maybe I'll do like a reacting to them video, but like, holy shit, it's rough. So I didn't know that this is what I was going to do. And if you had told me this is what I was going to do, it's hard to believe, because it's something that didn't exist yet. So when you're here to share your authentic and divine light in ways that don't exist yet, it feels so much more difficult to trust yourself and fucking jump, because you're like, am I really doing this? Like, are you sure? Like, what? And it's almost as if like your subconscious is manifested through people, because then you get people saying like, are you sure? What is this? Like, I don't understand it. But no one needs to understand it but you. You don't need to have all the answers. You just need to get started. And like, I know a lot of people tell me like, oh, I would love to talk about this type of stuff on social media. Fucking do it. Because maybe someone is going to watch my video and not understand. But if you talk about it, if you share it in your most authentic way, you're going to get it. And one thing that I want to say, if you're someone who wants to start making videos or content or whatever, my best advice to you is to be authentic and get out of your own fucking head. Because I feel like there are so many strategies like, oh, do this to boost your videos, do this. You totally can if that's what you feel called to. But the best thing that works is being yourself. And it might not work at first because no one knows you, no one has developed a liking or a connection to you, or like they haven't resonated or like related to you. That's the word I was looking for. But if you always maintain that great belief within yourself, if you always maintain that I'm the shit, man, I love what I'm doing so much. I love the way I speak. I love the way I move. I love everything about myself. That energy is magnetic. You must feel it towards yourself first, and then the world can catch on. Like, if I hadn't believed in my videos, if I hadn't like shown up as myself the whole entire time, who fucking knows what it would be like now. But the only reason that people, blow up on social media or anything is because they're being themselves. Like, I saw a video on my For You page the other day. It's a guy who does his Friday outfit of the days, but he works on a farm, and there's always a fucking goat that rams into him when he says fit check. Do you think he had to figure out a strategy to do that? Do you think he had to think really hard before talking the way he talks and making the jokes and laughing and just being himself? No, but people get attached to him because he's being himself, and it's so genuine that people who are unable to show up for themselves, unfortunately, they're living through people on social media, which is why sometimes it can become very toxic, because people look at other people's lives on social media and they're like, oh my God, mine is shit. If you follow any person, anything, like this is one of the first things I did after my spiritual awakening. I went through everyone I followed on social media, and I was like, there are people who I enjoy, like I like. But every time I saw a post of theirs or a story, it would subconsciously trigger my brain that I wasn't good enough, or that I would never look like that. I would never have that. If you follow anybody, included me, like if you follow me on social media and I trigger thoughts like that in your brain, unfollow. You can't have none of that. You literally need to get rid of all the external sources that are going to trigger your old thinking. Because the reality that you want is not as far as it seems. And I know it's easy to say, but for me who has lived it, and I'm living it now, like you guys, I launched my first workshop. I've never done a workshop online, and I know it's something I can do supernaturally. I know it's going to be great. I know you guys are going to absolutely love it, but my brain is uncomfortable because it's like, it's so much easier to not show up. Because if you don't show up, you can stay the same. You can stay comfortable, right? So my brain has been telling me, no. And then yesterday I was like, fuck it, set a date because I'm ready. And then when I saw all of you guys signing up so quickly, my brother was like, it was a Thursday moment. I was like, it was a fucking Thursday moment. Are you kidding me? And this is where I realized that the subconscious is so fucking impeccable at keeping you where you are, at keeping you comfortable, because I was literally having thoughts that felt heavy. Like I didn't want to do anything. I didn't even want to do my 10K steps. Like I only did them because I committed to it for 90 days. But like these types of thoughts where it's like, I'm tired. It's heavy. I don't feel like doing anything. Just shut up. Just leave me the fuck alone. All these types of things. I thought that was me. That wasn't me. That was the programming trying to reel me back in. So I've experienced a few moments like this in the past few months, because there are things that I feel called to. There are things that like source places in front of me, and I know this is what I have to do, but a part of me like sleeps on it just a little bit, because like, I don't know, if you go into it, you're going to shift realities, you're going to embody that new vibration. It's going to be death to the old one. Like I am no longer in the vibration that I was 2-3 years ago, making videos and just not knowing what I was going to do and just feeling hopeless. Like that's not me anymore. I entertained the energy of gratitude for knowing now exactly what I can do, for showing gratitude. Thank you for all these ideas. Thank you for this inspiration. Thank you for offering me the tools so that I can realize these ideas and go for it. Your true potential is really not as far as you think it is. It is a matter of decisions and showing up for yourself and keeping yourself in check and fucking doing the damn thing. So stop putting pressure on yourself to get to a certain place, because you will be brought out of that playful energy. Start identifying in a perfect world what you would really, really want to do. What would it look like? How would it feel? Like I always told myself, you know what? I don't want a lot of responsibility. I don't want like a fixed schedule, like a 9-to-5 thing. You have to identify the things that you want and then give yourself fucking permission to want those things. Like there's people who say like, oh, I want to do this, but then this, I'm going to have to deal with this and this and this. What if you didn't have to? What if you created that you can do whatever the fuck you want? Is that possible? It is only possible if you genuinely believe it's possible. And then act on the ideas and be willing for it to fail. Be willing for it to just fucking not bring you anything. You need to let go of any expectation, because if you're attached to any type of outcome, you will be devastated if it goes differently. I know someone, like they competed in a competition, right? And they put the huge attachment to winning first place. And when they didn't, holy fucking shit, they were crushed, because they placed so much importance to the first place title that I think they still won third place, but it wasn't good enough. It was like, giving so much meaning, like this is what it means about me, and then all of these things. But like I said in past episodes, if you have something to realize about yourself and, tend to yourself on the inner and like do that inner self-awareness, you might experience situations that don't feel as good, but it is really only there to set you free. Even if it's hard, even if it's not what you wanted. Man, it always happens for a fucking reason. And I know this sounds like fluff and it's annoying, but like, damn, this is really how it is, y'all. And then I just want to answer the question before we conclude this episode, because we're already pretty deep into it, eh? But the question was, can you cover how to know if your thoughts are your intuition or if they're your past patterning? And I felt like this falls pretty much into the episode today. This is the part that's really hard because it is so difficult to tell them apart. Like, I meditated to be able to realize when my ego, when the fear self is speaking. When it's your intuition, it's just like knowing. It comes from the lower parts of your body. It doesn't come from your mind. Your mind is what produces the fear, right? But in the knowing of your inner being, you kind of feel it in your stomach. You feel it I feel it around like my navel. I know that's kind of weird, but I think that's I forgot the name of the chakra. I don't know if it's the solar plexus or the other one. I don't remember. But anyways, because chakras, energy centers, that's where you receive energy, blah, 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 intuition, it's all connected. Because sometimes your mind is going to lead you to a decision, but it's not your soul, even though it feels like it. It's actually your ego who disguised itself as soul to convince you to really do this thing because it really wants to keep you safe from whatever. So an example I can give you is like, for me with my friendships, whenever I see that like there's a down, like this is in the past, by the way, whenever I saw that there was like a down in the relationship, my brain would tell me to just like, it's not working anymore, like let it go type of thing. I realized that was ego. That was ego that was scared to be abandoned. So that was ego saying, I will abandon them first. So I will not feel the pain of being abandoned, because abandonment issues, right? So you think that it's like you're following your guidance and shit like that, but sometimes you're literally acting out of fear. So I would say the best way to differentiate or identify is literally ask, like, does this contribute to your highest? But I want you to keep note that your highest doesn't mean nothing bad ever happens, that you don't feel any negative emotion or you don't suffer pain of any kind. I want you to ask yourself, like, okay, let's take me for example. Does publishing this ebook that I've wanted to write for a long time serve my highest? 100%. I acknowledge the part within me that was scared shitless and that really, really, really wanted to hold me back. But it is my responsibility to assure it you are safe. You're okay. I got you. Hold my hand and let's jump together. That is the whole point of like disassociating from your thoughts and like realizing you're the observer and you're not the thoughts. But because we are the consciousness observing the thoughts of the human being that we're playing, the character, the personality, all of these things, we think that we're the thoughts. We think that we're the fears. But in reality, you have to see yourself like you're the soul, you're the parent who is tending to this child. That is you, because you've acquired these experiences. You chose them. But you're a powerful divine being, So you can totally hold the hand of the human character that you're playing and tell it it's okay. Because maybe in the past, it didn't have that awareness. But now that's the whole part of remembering and awakening. It's just harnessing your soul more than your ego, if that makes sense. So to know if it's the past programming trying to reel you in, it wants to stay the same. It wants to keep you in the same place. It's so subtle, you guys. Like there are 1,000 different options for this, but just think about your childhood, how you were brought up, what you were used to thinking about yourself and the types of wounds that you had. Most of the time, they will be reflected through your decisions. You don't want to do this because something happened when you were 5 and now your brain is trying to protect you from feeling that way again. So it's going to tell you not to do it, but there's a part of you who really wants to do it. You have to listen to the part of you that really wants to do it more than the part of you that doesn't, even though you feel like you should trust the one that doesn't more. The one that doesn't more is trying to keep you safe because it doesn't know that you're not going to die by doing what you actually want to do. So basically, to answer the question, past programming tries to keep you small. And sometimes it's going to win. And sometimes you're going to have to overcome it maybe a few times. You know, you're going to start getting good at catching it. You're going to stop acting on it. You're going to stop listening to it. And you're going to realize that you can do this and that you just need to jump and trust yourself. It's a Thursday moment, okay? So on that note, you guys, I am ending episode 9 for today. But I really enjoyed this. And you know, it's funny because when I started recording, I had no idea what I was going to talk about, but I just went from the heart. I love you guys so extremely much, and I hope you guys have a beautiful week, and I'll see you in the next episode.